Well, here we are, a video that I have been wanting to make for a while, and I've alluded to it in a couple of previous ones as well. Today we're going to be talking about the game's performance, and I don't mean financially, I mean about the absolute slowdown that happens once you hit 100 years into the game. Don't get me wrong, first 100 years for me, absolutely fine, beautiful, worked like a dream, I have no problems with it, it's get fun. After that, it just slows down to a complete and total halt. And why is this a problem? Well, obviously, it makes the game completely and totally unplayable. Let's take a look here at the top of the screen. Right now, it's moving on fastest. And, well, let's put it this way. Even though, for me, this is completely doable, I know people that have much bigger problems with it. Now, I want to preface this entire discussion with the following. I am not a programmer. I am not an engine designer. I am not a content creator in terms of mods or anything like that. I know systems. It's what I do for a living. I build entertainment shows, and they are, I guess, somewhat similar to design, as they are interconnected systems that all run off of each other. However, it's not the same as game design by itself, so the overlap is rather minimal. All I want to say is that, yeah, I do not know enough about the back end of the game to give a solid opinion. All I can tell you and talk to you about are the current things that I see online in my comment sections, as well as Reddit, Twitter, and of course the Paradox forums. And more importantly, the lack of response to these questions. So let's quickly dive in, shall we? The big problems really started arising after the 2.2 Le Guin launch. It was a total rework of the entire POP system. It was the last big project that Wiz, former project director, was working on for quite some time, and by itself the system is very good, I feel, and how it works, how pops can be as many as you want on a planet and whatnot. There is so much going on, buildings and districts and whatnot, and population, etc. I love this sort of thing. I love this sort of deeper look into an economy. I was never a really big fan of the tile system because it felt way too rudimentary and limiting. However, ever since that expansion came out, there has been serious performance issues with the game, and there are several theories on why this is, and one of the big ones is that it boils down to the availability of jobs on planets. So for instance, if we go to a planet that has a lot of jobs available, probably not a very good idea at the moment because all my planets are asking for pops, but it does mean that there is a lot of pops floating around that can't do anything. But for instance, if I build, say, a ring world, which I do have in this game, so Sanctuary, a research version, if I build a couple of research segments, calculations will constantly look for people to get into those jobs, and apparently that takes up quite a lot of performance. Now, whether or not that is true or not is a whole different question. The real problem lies in the fact that there is almost no communication on this subject when it comes to PR, the dev team, or social media. Now, PR, totally understand. Social media, totally understand. Those two categories are completely not the right people to talk to when it comes to the mechanics or the under the hood issues that are currently going on with the game. However, we're seeing a reduced amount of interaction, I feel, from the developers with the community as a whole. I'll give you an example. On the top of the Stellaris forums, there's a thread called the Performance Mega Thread. It was posted on October 3rd, 2019, which is well over a month and a half ago. And basically it was all about, hey, please post all your performance discussions in here because the entire forum is being flooded with material that just makes the forum unreadable, and that by itself should already tell you something. What is even worse, however, if you click on the button Show All Dev Responses, there are currently 0. Yeah. All the dev responses currently are mostly focused on the dev diaries and answering questions, and even then, the dev diaries themselves, for instance, the other day when it came to the origins, the communication in there was to a certain extent that I had to put out not one but two videos talking about the difficulties that I had with the way some of the origins were working, that you may potentially need two expansions to access a single origin, etc., etc., etc. That all got resolved, but that only got resolved like a day later with a separate post from somebody else in the dev team. It's the amount of communication going on and clarity on that communication requires significant improvement. And I totally get it. There has been instances in the past where developers go on towards forums, whether or not be Reddit or something awful of all places, and other places as well, where they are getting harassed by people, and this really takes a step back. There was a thread, I believe, back after 22, back in I want to say February, after the dev team came back from vacation when 2.2 and Megacorp was launched. We're basically saying, hey, if you continue like this, the developers will be less inclined to communicate with you guys. And I think that we're kind of seeing a result from that, because we're seeing less and less interaction. Now, I know that the internet at large is a haunting place to go on. I get messages saying that I am trash every single day, but it does not mean that I stop interacting with people. Sure, it can be incredibly discouraging, going online and saying, hey, the stuff that you poured your love and soul into, it's terrible. Would you stop watching it, looking at these? I would, to a certain extent. But then again, for every one of those comments, there is 1,000 people like me, or maybe tens of thousands of people like myself, that are like, Stellaris as a game is one of the most wonderful experiences that are out there, and whilst the team itself may not always deliver in the way that we would want to, they still have a vision, and whatever they bring out is still beautiful, especially when it comes to, it being a palette where just you can write any story on. Stellaris can be anything you want. And of course, mods. Now, a lot of people are also saying, hey, all the features that you're introducing in Federations, you basically stole this from mods. That's just not how this sort of thing works. Mods are, in a perfect world, you just go out to a modder, say, hey, we want to buy your code and we want to put it in the game. But obviously, whatever a modder codes or scripts may not necessarily be in line with the kind of stuff that fits with your code base or your language structure. Before you know it, your entirely perfectly aligned backend turns into spaghetti. Now, I'm not saying that the backend is currently not spaghetti because of the sheer performance issues that we're seeing, and a lot of people are complaining about this. But still, it is something that you got to think of when saying, oh yeah, why don't you just add mods? It doesn't work like that. But still, the performance issues and lack of communication from the dev team on several subjects is just, I don't want to say disappointing, but it could be better. Now, sure, developers, they may not be PR trained. They may not want to interact on the internet because they're too busy doing other things. They're working on Federations right now. This is a 9-to-5 job. It takes a lot of time to get these expansions going. Programming or changing a small piece in the programming can take hours upon hours. Now, am I saying that the change then to the pop system was a bad one? No, I think it was great. I think it was the necessary step that had to be taken. But is the game currently in a good state because of it? I don't know. That's the thing. It could be. It could not be, because I don't know how the pop system interacts and how it uses resources. I'm running on an i7 4990K. The CPU is over 6 years old. I got only 8 gigs of RAM in this bad boy and a relatively outdated video card. And overall, it seems to be running just fine. But Peluche right now is running so slow that I can barely even handle it. It takes me like 9 hours to record a video where it used to take 3. Where is the incentive for me? I've got a young family with a 6-month-old that I would like to spend time with every once in a while. And there is other people out there as well. The average viewer age of people that watch my videos is between 24 and 32. And the younger categories are absolutely not being presented right there or represented at all. These are people that don't really have time to spend these massively long sessions. And yeah, it's just a shame that the performance is just dying. Again, in the first 100 years of the game, I'm just rushing through. And that's fine. Am I playing on a heavily modded version of the game right now? Absolutely. Does it really impact the pop system? Absolutely not. It's per basically megastructures and gigastructures and all that. And it's just a +1 somewhere in the system. And that's fine. These things should not cause all that much performance issues. Oh man, getting this out there is just difficult. I know that there is somebody with Paradox. You're going to be watching this. You're going to be seeing this, and you're going to be like, "Wow, okay." You may be working in marketing. You may work in social media. You may work on the dev team itself. Please, talk to us. Talk to the community. Say what you want to do in the next 6 months. Do you guys want to work on the engine? Can't you work because you need to fill that Q1 or Q2 expansion slot just to make the revenue to keep the game running? Because in the end, that's really what it's all about, right? Does the game perform financially well? Then we add another expansion. But at this rate, I'm seeing people online saying, I'm not going to recommend this game to my friends because in-game performance is just bad. And if it's something along the lines is that we cannot spare the programmers for that long because we're working on something else, or the artists need to have something to work on whilst we're coding, or the content creators need to work on something whilst we're doing any sort of fixing, that's fine. Make more species packs as an example. Start to fluff up the quality of what the galaxy looks like. This is not a standard galaxy in the way it looks, but it looks so much better than the 3-4-year-old graphics that we have right now. I'm not saying they're bad, but they could be so much better. I'm running with real space, for instance. There are systems in here that look like this if it ever will decide to load. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Does it fit within the code base? I do not know. But maybe your artist could work on this sort of thing as a visual update. Maybe a big 3.0 for Stellaris. Who knows? I know this is a difficult subject, and I know that a lot of people are going to go out and say, wow, I can't believe that you said that. But I also know there are a lot of people going to say, wow, it's good that you are addressing this. I got 130,000 people on this channel, and I'm sure some of them will want to dime in. If you want to do so, put a comment below. I'm sure Paradox is watching, and your comments are always appreciated. This is a dialogue, and may not necessarily be with me, but maybe somebody from the team will see this and go out of their way to say, this is what the current status of the game is, and this is what we're going to try to do about it. And even if they don't want to do anything about it, it's still good to talk to us. Like I said before, for every single third person that talks shit and makes you feel god-awful about your work, there are tens of thousands of silent souls who love everything you do. Don't let them get under your nails, guys. We love your stuff. We love this game. But just talk to us. That's all we ask. Thank you so much for watching. This was a bit more heartfelt than usual. I'm not going to put a mid-roll in this video as well because the subject matter is too serious. I love this game. It has really done... It's been wonderful for me and my family life as well. And it keeps me sane. I love games like this. And I think Stellaris is still one of the best games out there. And the team, sure, whilst communication is sometimes a little bit lacking, are wonderful people that I love to work with on a day-by-day basis if I had the opportunity to, again. But sadly, this is where it is. And sadly, words have to be spoken. So here we are. Thank you so much for watching. Don't put any shit down in the comments. Like, don't talk crap about them. Come on. Let's be civil about this. Let's be adults. I'm looking forward to read things down there in the comments. And with a bit of luck, they'll see it. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.